Here we go. So yeah, I saw some good gameplay of Tigu versus Jazz on this map earlier, so we'll have to see how this one goes. I haven't seen S1mon play this one. Okay, I guess we're live. WR is a 0.66 by Opal. Here we go. S1mon goes a bit more inside. Tigu gets the better SD out. S1mon with an unfortunate release there will cause a slide out. We'll leave Tigu all alone up in the front. As long as he doesn't make a bigger mistake than 7 seconds, then it's his round to lose. So many different lines in the end, I think. You've got that line where you go a bit wider there, and then you have a better inside here. There's also the line of going tighter and then going wide into tight here. And I have no idea which is faster. There we go, starting off with a 49.2. It's a very respectable time. Tigu's PB is a 0.884. S1mon's PB is a 0.878. So, although Tigu picked the map, S1mon has a slightly better PB, but it's all about regu. That's how rounds go, especially 1v1s. You can't be fast, but not consistent. You've got to have consistency. Really fast line there in the start by S1mon as well as Tigu. Within a tenth of each other right now. Tigu's a bit lower, does dip a wheel in the snow, stays tighter through the gear down section, will take the lead by 0.2. And very similar exits, going into the last couple of slides. S1mon versus Tigu. S1mon with a bit of an awkward line will allow Tigu just to get the overtake. It's a closer round. Tigu 2-0 up on his map pick. But definitely pace for both players. Both very quick, both consistent players. Very similar PBs. I think this might be Tigu's first match of the day. Oh, no, it's not. He had the match against Jazz earlier. But it's S1mon's just finished playing one, so he might be a bit more warmed up. Tigu with an offline. Does keep third gear, but does lose a few tenths to S1mon. Almost half a second. S1mon with a really good exit as well. Just got to keep it on the track and the round will be his. Yes, she does. There we go, 2-1. Not letting Tigu run away with it just yet. Yeah. Very sketchy. Whoa, S1mon tech maxing the start. Had me worried for a second. Yeah, he goes so much wider there in order to get a bit more of an inside line and get more elevation for the speed. Seems to be paying off. But yeah, only a tiny margin in it so far. Tigu entering with a bit more speed. S1mon gets a better turnaround into the slow sector. Less than half a tenth between the two players. Tigu, S1mon has to adjust, so does Tigu. Gaps 0.2 going into the last two slides. Tigu a bit lower, but S1mon's just far enough ahead to hold off. The 0.0. 0. It's a very respectable time. That's it, that's evened it back up to 2-2 after 4 rounds on Tigu's map pick. Nice adjustment from Tigu. Keeps himself out of the wall. S1mon, less than a tenth behind. There's really not much separating the two players so far in this round. S1mon with a bit of an adjustment. Will keep the third gear. Tigu with an unfortunate touch on the inside on the checkpoint there. Will send him a second back. He's gifted the round win to S1mon as long as he keeps it on the road. He pushed for a nicer time, but that's enough of the round win. And I will put him in the lead for the first time of this match. 3 rounds to 2. This is like the PIL final all over again. Shift versus 34%. The kind of new rivalry of teams. Although the gear up wasn't super clean, he seemed to not lose any speed for it. And is just about ahead of Tigu, but Tigu gets a really nice turnaround, as long as he can keep it from going too wide. Which he does, keeps the speed going into this downhill overslide, but will go wide, goes for the wall bonk. That's a really good recovery attempt, but he's in gear 3, and that's never going to end well. S1mon, again, just driving the pace that he needs to. Fast enough in the start to force Tigu to push, and forcing out some mistakes so far. But still, it's only 4-2. Still a lot more to play for on this map. Going into round 7 then. See very close starts. S1mon getting that more elevation on the inside. This time doesn't work out for him as well. Tigu is a bit ahead. S1mon really pushing that apex though. Will gain back a lot of time because of that. Tigu with a good line. It's a bit wider going in. S1mon gets a bit of airtime on the apex there. That's really unfortunate. Which will leave Tigu to his own devices at the front, just to drive this one into the fin. And he does so with a 0.9. That's a very solid time. Within 0.3 of WR in rounds on a relatively difficult map. It's respectable. Very respectable. Again, very similar starts. So I'm releasing into the slide to try and get a better exit. Doesn't seem to gain or lose him much. Similar slides again. Tigu more inside, might have to adjust to avoid the wall. He drops the gear as well, which is very unfortunate. And we'll lose a second out to S1mon, who just needs to drive it safe. And that'll be 5 rounds to 3 in favour of S1mon. S1mon needs 2 to close out the map. Tigu needs 4. Very close to the inside there from Tigu. Definitely pay off. Has a bit more speed. Better line as well. Ooh. He manages to catch the slide out. S1mon with a big mistake though. Both players in gear 2. Both regain the gear. S1mon with a huge slide out though. Yeah, that's a bit of a nightmare cast. We take those, I guess. Tigu takes those for sure. Closes the gap by 1. 5-4. S1mon just came out of nowhere. With tons of speed, but a bit to his detriment. Though he's more inside here, should carry more speed into the uphill. Gains back all the time he's lost on Tigu. Only 100th between the two players, going into the last few slides of the map. Out of the last gear 3 section, Tigu has about a 0.1 lead. S1mon pushing the inside. Tigu will have the better line to the fin, and okay, I don't know if that was just a change in elevation. It looked like Tigu just got like a landmine halfway through that last slide. I'm gonna watch the VOD back myself actually to see what happened to his car there. It's really unfortunate if it was, because I thought he'd have the better exit line for that round. S1mon with a bit of snow. Lose a couple of tenths. I hit a boulder, thank you. Okay. Tigu not pushing too much at the minute, just managing the gap. 0.5 of a second, although he's pushing that apex still. 0.4 of a second, 2 slides to go. It's comfortable, easy as you like, just drive it in. With a 0.0, getting another nice time. Although I'm only going to nice time, NT 48. 5-6, Tigu's clawing his way back. Seems like the rounds where Tigu's not making these mistakes. He's definitely got the got that pace advantage, it seems. After driving, yeah, 0.0 and a 0.9. This time is 1.0. Oh, but Tigu with a really unfortunate slide out, and that might be the round, and that might be the map. Going in favour of S1mon here. The gap is quite large. If S1mon is playing with hard on, he'll realise that he's got 5 seconds to play with. He can, yeah, he can take a 0 risk. Or he can full send, knowing that he can get away with a respawn and try and set a nice time. Starts a bit lower down on that slide. Goes for the SD. 0.5. GG's. That's map 1. Goes to S1mon. Next match on the agenda is Crawl. The Alaket and Zepna Gear 3 map that we've just seen be played between S1mon and Bunkresson, and that's ended a 7-2 victory for S1mon, who seem to have some pace in this map, setting quite a few 41 7s and 8s, which well, a 41-7 is a top 10 time, so yeah, it could get interesting. S1mon's PB is a 41.457 and Tigu's PB is a 41.582. So yeah, very close. Only about 0.13 or 1.125 exactly between the two PBs. So it'll just be down to who can drive close to that consistently in rounds. And if the warm-up's anything to go by. Then it'll be a real close match. On to map 2. Tigu with a nice double apex in the start. Get some more inside line here as well. It's a really solid start. At a 0.2 lead. S1mon goes for the wider line there just to gain some more speed going into this section, but still a couple of tenths down on the 34% player. S1mon pushing the inside line will gain back a lot of time, but Tigu not managing to pull away just yet. Gets a nicer exit out of the second last slide, and going into the finale, S1mon had to push, doesn't quite get it, and Tigu drops a 0.6 first round. Very respectable time. I think. I mean, his PB is a 0.58. He's driving a 0.6. I'm nice timing that. Okay. S1mon with this, this slightly wider line cuts it closer to the apex here. Tigu's way offline, unfortunately. He's going to lose some time, but not too much actually. He does recover it really well. Gets a nice inside line here, and is only about a tenth behind. But pushing the apex too hard will be an unfortunate touch, and S1mon with a half second should be converting this to a round win with a 0.7 of his own. Tying it up after the second round, 1-1 on S1mon's map pick. Okay, very different lines. I don't know what's going on. Quarter of a second in favour of Tigu, who does end up a bit wider here, more consistently than S1mon does. But S1mon seems to carry the speed around a bit better. Both get nice lines. S1mon a bit more inside, gets a better SD. Tigu, I think, might have touched the apex there and has lost a tenth or so because of it. And S1mon will be leading going into the last turn by almost 0.4 of a second. And that'll be the round win for S1mon. Two to 1 on his map pick. Nice cam bug to start things off. First map was won by S1mon. 7-5, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This time it's S1mon who gets the early lead. About 0.1 of a gap. Bit more now, but Tigu pushing an inside line here. Gets a decent SD as well, but is a bit too inside for this entry, which will allow S1mon to just snowball away a little bit. 0.3 of a second. S1mon gets a nice apex there, and we'll convert it to a 0.6. It's respectable time. So 0.6 driven by both players in this match so far. Keeping it in gear 3. It's very easy to just get a slightly too good of an SD on a line and not realise that you're going to go up to gear 4. But they're both managing the gear quite well. S1mon slightly ahead of Tigu here, who has to adjust and will lose a little bit. Gets a really nice apex through here. Will only be about 0.1 behind going into the last turn. There's a wider setup. Might be able to get a better SD as well because of it. Not quite. It's a close one. Four to 1 in favor of S1mon. And if Tigu wants to win this match, it's now is the best time to try and claw some rounds back. But both players have been very evenly matched on pace on this map so far. This time Tigu with a bit of a lead, goes wider but gets a nicer inside through here and should slingshot ahead again. With a 0.1 lead over S1mon, who has to do the chasing for this time. Gets a really nice apex. Solid SD out. 0.17 is the gap. Tigu with an unfortunate apex touch gifts the round to S1mon. Tigu was on possible 0.5 high pace right there. Unfortunate. It was a very close round up until then. But Tigu is a player who's very good at just locking in when he needs to. He doesn't let the score determine how he plays. Just shows up and locks in when he needs to. So let's see if he can kind of channel that and gain some rounds back on S1mon, who has a really awkward line here and will definitely be losing a lot of time, probably half a second or so. Is now in favor of the German. And with that touch, Tigu will be gifted the round win as long as he keeps it on the track. Which is just what he needs after that unfortunate end on the last round. Comes back, drives a 0.7, reset the mental. And yeah, closes the gap between the two players by an extra point. 5 to 2. Almost identical lines through the start here from both S1mon and Tigu. S1mon goes wider, cuts in. I guess this line here, Tigu opts to cut slightly less and get an SD out to the side. This time hasn't worked out as well as it has. Or unfortunate apex touch as well. Just knew he had to push to catch S1mon. Who's on a solid time. 0.7. It's respectable. Very respectable. Six to 2 in favour of S1mon. He can close out the game on this next round. Should Tigu make a mistake. And so far on this round, S1mon with a bit of a better lead in the start. Goes for his wide line. Gains about a 1/10 on Tigu. 2/10 is the gap. Tigu pushes this inside line. He's gaining a lot of that time back. It's a really impressive line. S1mon's pushing the apex. He knows that Tigu's close. Wants to close it out this round. Both players within 0.02 of a second. Tigu gets a better line, but will get sniped on the line by S1mon. What a round to end it off. S1mon with an unbelievable end. Just sniping it away at the last. Really well played, and that's, if you're S1mon, that's a very strong opponent that he's taken down. He's got to be definitely very happy with that going to his last match of the day, which will be in a little over half an hour's time versus Opal, who currently tops the standings.